What is going on, YouTube? What you see here is the little canister that the food goes in for the Neptune auto feeder. And if you know anything about these auto feeders, they are a pain in the butt to remove this without removing the entire auto feeder from your system. And the reason why it's sitting here on this towel is because my auto feeder was empty, luckily. But whenever I pulled this off of the tank, which it actually is situated in a fashion like this, where this snaps to the front, the whole feeder, well, this section, these two pieces, fell into my tank. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you have the Neptune auto feeder, you've probably already struggled with this. If you don't have the Neptune auto feeder and it's something you're looking at getting, I do recommend the auto feeder. It's an excellent auto feeder. However, I would pull the whole unit off of the tank before trying to remove this piece right here. Otherwise, if there's any food in it, you will more than likely, let me rephrase that, you will 100% drop any food remaining in this container into your tank. Of course, filling up the auto feeder is a breeze now that it's off the tank. You have this slider here that dictates how much food goes in the tank. If you're using this setting, you probably have high phosphates, nitrates, and anything else. I usually go with the smallest setting, and basically I have this, I really like this sustainable aquatics food, but you can see here there's some different colors mixed into it, and there's some different grains in there. And basically I take about 3 or 4 different pellets, brands of pellets and different types of pellets, mix them in to the same container, take my food container here, try not to make a mess, and I fill it up. This will last me quite some time. Of course, I'm doing this on the towel as well because I really don't want to make that large of a mess. And you can see there, more failure on my part. Really not paying much attention to what I'm doing. So let's open up that slider. Thankfully, I don't have to fill this up all that often. So I would also suggest that when you get this back onto the tank, you test it out. And I will put a cup underneath it to test it out to make sure it's not going to dispense all the food back into my tank, because that is not what I want to do. The reason that I suggest doing a test run on the auto feeder with the cup is because you're better off going to the casino and betting all the money that you have on red or black. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to try to do this quickly, but the auto feeder is set to auto. I'm going to set that to on with the cup here, see if I can catch it. And basically what I want to do is I want to measure the food and make sure a large part, that was quite a few pellets that dropped into the cup. So you can see there, that is a pretty large feeding for my tank, but that's okay. I'm gonna roll with it. And I do have the gyre pump set to turn off whenever the auto feeder runs, so I'm gonna leave it as is. Need to make sure that I get the auto feeder set to auto. And for reference here, so the auto feeder, excuse the glare here, I have my first rotation at noon, and then 240 minutes later, and then we got 1 drum rotation and 2 feedings per day, feed timer A, which I just have my gyre pump set to, have my gyre to fall back on, set on, if feed A off for 5 minutes, and if the output feeder is if the output feeder is on, then off, then defer for 1 minute. Pretty simple, pretty simple. So gyre pump just kicked back on. We're in business. I really feel like it goes without saying, but you know, the Neptune controller is a fantastic piece of hardware, but I truly feel like you should always test. And my auto feeder uses a universal bracket on top of my aquatic life fixture, So every time that I fill it up, I test it out.